You ever hear someone you love scream at you like you're a stranger? Not just scream to spit venom like you murdered their dog? That's what Olivia did. She stood there in our granite counter kitchen, in that overpriced silk robe I bought her last Christmas. Hair still wet from her spa day, nails freshly done. Her face? Twisted. Cold. Not the Olivia I married. No, this was some demon version of her, lips curled like I was beneath her shoes. "You're ungrateful," she screamed. "Get out and never come back." No build-up. No fight. Just those 7 words like bullets to the chest. I stood frozen, coffee cup halfway to my lips. My duffel bag by the door. I was literally just back from a 2-week consulting job in Houston. All I wanted was to kiss my wife, crash, and smell her hair as we fell asleep. Instead, I got thrown out like I was the garbage. She didn't flinch. Not once. Not when I asked, "What the hell are you talking about?" Not when I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. Her green eyes didn't blink. They burned. She pointed at the door. "Leave. Don't text. Don't call. Don't you dare show your face at the gala Friday. We're done." That word stuck in my throat. Done? We've been married for 6 years. I paid the mortgage. The Audi she drives? I bought that. Even her boutique, the one she loves pretending she built from the ground up, I wrote every damn check that got it running. So I left, dazed, like someone just unplugged my brain. Still gripping the cup, which I didn't realize until it slipped from my hand in the driveway, shattering like my world. I didn't call her. Not that night. Not the next day. Instead, I drove 2 hours to my brother's lake cabin and stayed there in silence. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't even bring a toothbrush. A week passed before the real fire started. I got a call from her mother, Deborah. The kind of woman who talks like a senator and judges like a nun. She never liked me, but she loved my wallet. That morning, her voice was full of fake concern. "Jacob, dear, I was just wondering. The bank says the mortgage hasn't been paid. You always pay on time." I chuckled. Not because it was funny, but because that was the moment it hit me. I'd been funding their lives, her life, while she planned to toss me like a used tissue. I leaned against my truck, staring at the lake, and said calmly, "That's not my house anymore. Your daughter told me to leave. I don't pay mortgages on places I'm banned from." Silence. Pure silence. Then, click. No follow-up. No apology. No shock. Just click. That's when the gears started turning. See, Olivia thought I'd beg. Crawl back. Grovel. She thought I'd show up with roses and a tearful apology for what, exactly? Paying the bills? Being loyal? Believing in her boutique even when it bled money? She had someone else. I didn't have proof yet, not concrete, but my gut knew. There was a smugness in her eyes, that kind of triumphant smirk that only shows up when a woman thinks she's outsmarted you. I replayed that moment in the kitchen on loop. The robe, the nails, the fresh shampoo. She wasn't heartbroken or emotional. She was ready, prepared, cold. I stayed at the cabin another 3 days, scrolling through old photos, wondering where the crack started. Was it when I missed our anniversary last year for the Miami pitch? When I turned down her trip to Paris because of the quarterly review? Or had it always been a game for her? A way up? That Friday, the day of the gala she told me not to attend, I put on my best suit, drove to the venue, and waited. What I saw made my blood run cold. She was there, laughing, drunk on champagne and ego. On her arm? A man in a velvet jacket. I recognized him. Trent Daniels. Real estate developer. Old money. Older face. Way too familiar. That was the moment I knew. It wasn't just a hunch anymore. It was fact. She didn't just cheat. She replaced me before even throwing me out. And now, standing in the shadows of that ballroom, watching her whisper into Trent's ear like a schoolgirl, I felt something inside me snap. Not in rage. In clarity. She thought I'd chase her. She had no idea who she just messed with. You know that feeling when the puzzle pieces start clicking into place, and suddenly the whole ugly picture stares back at you? That was me, standing under the dim lighting of that marble ballroom, holding a glass I didn't sip, watching my wife, no, ex-wife in progress, touch another man's chest like it was hers to play with. Trent Daniels. 49. Twice divorced. Famous for flipping mansions and women like playing cards. I remembered him from our dinner party 2 months ago. Olivia said he was just a businessman who believed in her boutique. I even shook his hand. Told him, thanks for supporting her. He smiled like a fox. Now I know why. That moment at the gala should have been the end. But no, I wasn't about to walk away with a broken heart and no answers. She owed me that much, a damn explanation. or at least the satisfaction of knowing just how long she'd been playing me. I walked out of the ballroom without saying a word. No scene, no drama, just a plan. Back at the cabin, I pulled out my old laptop. I used to work corporate security before I switched to consulting, and if there's one thing I know, people always leave traces. The next few hours were a blur of typing, sifting through old cloud backups, forgotten accounts, even the shared iCloud album she didn't know I still had access to. And that's when I found it. Photo after photo of her in mirror selfies at a hotel room I'd never been to. Same robe, same smile, different bedsheets. Some with champagne flutes. Some where she was alone, but I could see men's shoes near the bed. One shot, cropped tight, had a man's wristwatch on the pillow beside her. Gold. Expensive. I checked Trent's photos online. Bingo. She wasn't even being careful. Then I opened her boutique's business bank account. I still had joint access. I never bothered changing it after setting it up for her. Big mistake for her. Over $8,000 in consulting fees sent to a shell company. Registered under Trent Daniels' name. So he was investing, huh? Nah. He was getting paid. For what? You can fill in the blanks. I copied every file, every photo, every payment receipt. I labeled the folder Hurricane Olivia. It was more than enough to torture legally, financially, and publicly. But I wasn't going to drop the hammer yet. I wanted to watch her squirm first. 3 days later, I showed up at our house. Not my house anymore, remember? I wasn't even sure the code on the smart lock would work, but it did. She was in the kitchen, eating blueberries from a crystal bowl, scrolling her phone like a queen in her castle. When she looked up, her face didn't flinch. Didn't I tell you never to come back? Her voice could have cut glass. I smiled, calm as the ocean before a storm. You did. But I forgot my dignity here. Thought I'd stop by and pick it up. She rolled her eyes. Please, Jacob. You're acting dramatic. Just move on already. You clearly weren't happy, and neither was I. That hit me in the gut. I wasn't happy. I paid her bills. Took care of her family. Defended her when people said she was spoiled. I believed in her damn dreams more than she did. But now I saw the truth. She never loved me. She loved the lifestyle. She pushed the bowl away and stood up. Her robe, another damn silk one, slipped off her shoulder like some cheap movie seduction. Listen, she said, softening her voice. I'm sorry it had to be this way. But you'll be fine. We both know you're strong. She reached for my arm, but I pulled back. I dropped a flash drive on the counter. What's that? Everything you thought I'd never find. Her face went pale for the first time. Lips parted. Eyes flicked between me and the drive like it was a live grenade. I leaned in. You don't get to scream at me, throw me out of my own house, and expect me to vanish. I'm not your pet. I was your husband. She stayed silent. I stepped back, looked her in the eye, and said, enjoy Trent's money. Just know you paid for it with mine. Then I left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't raise my voice. Just walked away, knowing the storm had only begun for her. And I was just getting started. I drove straight to my lawyer's office that evening. Cold, steady rain pelted the windshield like a warning, but I didn't slow down. I was done hesitating. I was done being the guy who waited for things to make sense. I needed control back. When I walked in, Gregory, my attorney for the past 5 years, took one look at me and said, something bad or something final? I dropped the flash drive on his desk. Both. He raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. Just plugged it in. 5 minutes later, his jaw was tight. She's cooked, he muttered. You want to go public with this? I shook my head. No. I want out. Clean. And I want to make sure she doesn't get a penny more than the state says she's owed. He nodded. You'll need to freeze the joint assets. Now. We got to work. That night, I locked down every account she had access to. No more credit cards on my tab. No more boutique renovations funded by my money. I called my bank and revoked her access to the investment portfolio. Filed for separation. In 2 hours, Olivia went from rich wife to soon-to-be broke ex. The next day, her mother called again. This time, she didn't even say hello. Just launched in, angry and shrill. How dare you freeze her boutique account? That business is her life. I didn't respond right away. I let her rant. When she finally stopped, I said, calm and clear, she threw me out. Screamed at me like trash. Said I was ungrateful. Remember that? Now tell me, why the hell would I keep paying for someone who treats me like a leech? Silence again. Then the click. Funny how they all hang up when they lose control. 2 days later, I got a text from Olivia. No, hi. No, can we talk? Just, You had no right to take away the boutique funds. I didn't reply. She followed it with another. You're just bitter. I didn't cheat. Trent and I are just friends. You're insane. That part? That made me laugh. Insane? You don't take mirror selfies half-naked in hotel rooms with friends. You don't get business money wired into a shell company with your friend's name on it. She wasn't just a liar. She was an arrogant one. That weekend, I packed the rest of my things, the few she hadn't already burned or donated accidentally. I left the house key on the counter next to the same crystal bowl she used for her berries. But I left her something else, too. A printout of every transaction. A copy of one photo, just one, of her in bed, with the watch clearly visible. No threats. No messages. Just facts. 2 days passed. Then she showed up at the cabin. Uninvited. I heard the tires on gravel and knew instantly it was her, only she would drive a white Audi into the middle of nowhere wearing heels. I opened the door before she knocked. She didn't speak at first. Just stared at me. Her makeup was perfect, too perfect, masking whatever panic lived beneath her skin. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said, finally. I folded my arms. Mean what? The affair? The scam? Kicking me out like a stray? She bit her lip. Classic Olivia, tears about to drop, looking for sympathy. But I was done falling for that show. I was lonely, she whispered. I blinked. Lonely while I was working to pay your mortgage? Lonely while I was building you a life. She reached out. I didn't expect you to just vanish. That pissed me off more than anything. You screamed for me to leave. You want to be gone. And now that I'm not paying your bills, now you miss me? I thought you'd fight for me, she said, eyes glassy. I laughed once, cold and sharp. You don't fight for someone who's already in another man's bed. She stepped back like I slapped her, but I didn't care anymore. You can go now, I told her. And next time you want a man to fund your fantasy, make sure he's dumber than me. She left without another word. But that night, she blew up my phone. 30 missed calls. Dozens of texts, begging, raging, blaming, guilt-tripping. I blocked her. Because the truth is, I didn't just lose a wife. I lost an illusion. And the air felt cleaner without it. 2 weeks passed without a single word from her. Not one. And honestly, it was bliss. No lies to untangle. No fake apologies. No guilt-tripping text in the middle of the night. I finally started sleeping again. Deep, dreamless sleep. The kind I hadn't felt in years. Then came the subpoena. Gregory called me on a Wednesday morning. I was chopping wood outside the cabin. The wind was crisp, my hands steady. He sounded amused. She's suing for alimony. I stopped mid-swing. She what? She claims you abandoned her. Says she has no source of income and that you left her financially stranded. Her lawyer attached some fancy list of monthly expenses. Spa treatments, designer clothes, private Pilates sessions. It's comedy. I leaned against the axe. Does she actually believe she'll get away with this? She's betting on the court not knowing everything we know. But we were ready. At the hearing, she walked in with a Chanel bag and crocodile pumps. Wore white like she was the victim, with fake tears and a trembling voice. Her lawyer painted her as a dependent housewife with dreams crushed by my sudden cruelty. I sat there silent while she spun her performance. I watched the judge nod politely. Then Gregory stood, cool as ice, and slid a stack of papers across the table. Your Honor, he said, we have evidence showing not only financial independence but financial misconduct, including hidden transfers to a company owned by the man she's romantically involved with. Gasps. From her side. Not from mine. She tried to cut in. That's a lie. But it was too late. The judge glanced at the documents, frowned, then glanced back at her. In under 5 minutes, the tone of the room flipped. Her lawyer stammered. She fidgeted. I just sat back and watched it all collapse. The ruling was swift. No alimony, no access to joint assets. She could keep her boutique, but with her personal funds. As far as the court was concerned, she made her bed. That night, I got an email from Trent. Yeah, him. Subject line. You win. The message was short. I didn't know she was married until recently. I'm backing off. Sorry. I didn't reply. He wasn't worth the bandwidth. But what was worth it? Seeing Olivia unravel in real time. She posted cryptic quotes on Instagram about betrayal, losing everything to gain peace, and learning the hard way who loves you for real. Her followers ate it up. Little did they know the villain in her sob story was her own reflection. 3 days later, Deborah called again. She didn't yell this time. Her voice was smaller. Jacob. Olivia's struggling. The boutique's failing without the money you used to help her manage. Could you maybe talk to her? I almost laughed. No. Just one word. And I hung up. It was over. Finally over. But the pain wasn't gone, not fully. You don't spend years loving someone, sacrificing for them, building a life together, only to walk away without scars. I still had nights where I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder what I missed. What moment I should have seen the shift in her eyes. But you know what? I also had mornings now. Mornings where I brewed my own damn coffee, read the news in silence, and didn't feel like I was walking through someone else's idea of life. I started rebuilding, not just my finances, but myself. Reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. Went back to the gym. Spent time with my nephews. Even started drawing again, something I'd given up when Olivia said it was a waste of my potential. And then one Sunday, while hiking a trail upstate, I met someone. Emily. Brown hair, quiet laugh, as that didn't dart to her phone every 30 seconds. We didn't talk about trauma. We didn't talk about exes. We just talked. For hours. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel like I was faking anything. I didn't tell her about Olivia that day. I didn't need to. Because this wasn't about proving I'd moved on. It was about finally being free. Of lies. Of manipulation. Of guilt. And most of all, of the woman who screamed, "You're ungrateful. Get out and never come back." Because I did leave. But I didn't beg. I rebuilt. And she? She's still screaming into a void that doesn't echo back. It wasn't until months later that I realized how deep her claws had gone. You don't notice the weight of a leash until it's gone. I'd been walking through my own life like a guest, handing over paychecks, swallowing insults, justifying red flags like they were love letters written in invisible ink. The silence of the cabin was different now. It wasn't just quiet, it was mine. No high heels tapping on hardwood. No perfume clinging to door frames. No tension in the air, thick like it was afraid to breathe. And yet, somehow, she found a way to crawl back in. One morning, while I was chopping kindling out back, I heard tires again. Same gravel crunch. My stomach turned before I even looked. I already knew. She stepped out of a car I didn't recognize, probably borrowed. Her hair wasn't done. No makeup. Sweatpants instead of designer silk. A version of Olivia I hadn't seen since before the money, the real her, or at least something close. She didn't speak right away. Just stood there, arms crossed, like the world owed her an explanation. "I need help," she finally said. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I was wrong." Just that. I leaned on the axe. "I'm not your emergency contact anymore." She winced. "I don't have anyone else." I didn't say anything. She looked at the cabin, at me, like she was trying to figure out how I got through everything without falling apart. "Trent left," she said. "Turns out his wife wasn't as ex as he claimed." I smirked. Couldn't help it. "Heard about that," I said. "His wife took him for everything, right? Left him with a condo and a poodle." "Yeah," Olivia muttered. "And me with nothing." I raised an eyebrow. "So you came here hoping what, that I'd rescue you?" "I came because I thought you might still care." I let that hang in the air. Not out of cruelty, but because I needed her to feel the weight of it. "You didn't care when you were whispering in his ear at that gala. You didn't care when you screamed at me to leave my own house. You didn't care when you let your mother call me like I was the one who cheated." She blinked, tears forming now, real or not. I didn't know. Didn't matter. "People make mistakes, Jacob." I nodded. "And some of them have consequences." She stepped closer. "I don't want your money. I miss who we were." That part hurt. Because the truth is, we did have good moments. Before the boutique. Before the ego. Before she decided I wasn't enough unless I came with a 6-figure check every month. But who we were doesn't exist anymore. And the person I loved? She hadn't been around for years. "You don't miss me," I said. "You miss what I gave you." She looked down. And then something shifted. Her voice hardened. "Fine. Be cold." I tried. "You'll regret it when you're old and alone, still living like a damn lumberjack." I laughed, a deep, real one. "I'd rather die chopping wood than live one more day in that fake designer lie you called love." She stormed back to the car. And that was the last time I saw Olivia. She unfollowed me from everything. Blocked me before I could block her. Like a child throwing a tantrum because the toy talked back. The next week, I got a package in the mail. No note. Just the wedding ring I gave her, dropped in a box like it was a souvenir. I didn't even open it fully. Just tossed the whole thing into the fire. Let the flames eat it. Felt good to watch it burn. I could have gone after her. Could have dragged her name through court, exposed everything to the world. But I didn't. Because that's the thing about people like Olivia. They always ruin themselves eventually. You just have to stop saving them. The following months were the kind of quiet most men don't know how to sit in. The kind that doesn't ask questions or demand explanations, just silence, space, and time. I wasn't numb. Far from it. I was present. Every scar she left became a part of my reflection. Every lie she told played back like a scene I'd memorized, not to relive, but to learn from. And I did learn. People show you who they are. Not once, but in patterns. Olivia had been waving red flags from day one, but I had confused them for fireworks. Now, I saw clearly. And clarity doesn't hurt, it burns. But after the burn, you heal. Emily and I had been texting now and then, not anything serious. Just small talk that made me smile. No pressure. No games. Just real. One afternoon, I invited her up to the cabin. No expectations. No plans. Just, hey, if you want to get out of the city for a bit, I've got a place with a view and bad coffee. She showed up with a smile that didn't look forced. And that night, we sat by the fire, sipping whiskey, watching the flames dance in silence. She didn't ask about Olivia. Didn't dig. Didn't need to. Eventually, I told her anyway. Not the whole story. Just the bones of it. Her response? You look like someone who finally took off a heavy coat. That stuck with me. Because she was right. I wasn't looking for a replacement. I wasn't even looking for healing. I was just trying to remember who I was before Olivia decided I wasn't enough. And the truth is, I was enough. I just gave everything to someone who was empty. One night, weeks later, I got a call from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer. But something in my gut told me to pick up. It was Deborah. Her voice was frantic. Jacob, I know you don't owe us anything, but Olivia's in trouble. I didn't speak. She took out loans against the boutique. Signed contracts with some investors. Now they're suing. She's losing the shop. She hasn't been eating. She mentioned doing something drastic. I said nothing. Jacob, please, she whispered. She's not well. I know she was horrible to you, but she's still a person. I stared out the cabin window, phone pressed to my ear, heart steady. Then I said, I hope she finds help. But I'm not it. And I hung up. That was the final thread. The last test. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel triumph. I felt nothing but peace. Because I wasn't her lifeline anymore. She had a choice. Many, actually. And she chose betrayal. Chose lies. Chose greed. You can only save someone drowning if they stop pulling you down with them. The cabin was cold that night. But the bed wasn't empty. Emily stayed over, fully clothed. No pressure. Just two people existing in the same silence, the same firelight. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to prove my worth. I just was. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't break you. It reveals you. And when it's over, truly over, you don't go looking for revenge. You just live better. That's the loudest answer you'll ever give. The snow started falling hard in early December. Thick, heavy flakes blanketed the trees, the deck, even the battered woodpile I kept forgetting to cover. I sat on the porch wrapped in a wool blanket, sipping coffee that had gone cold, watching the world turn white. It was the first winter I didn't feel buried under anything. No unpaid emotional debts. No fake smiles. No hollow marriage built on guilt and gold cards. Just quiet. Emily came up most weekends now. She brought her dog, Luna, a lazy golden retriever that snored louder than most humans and had a habit of knocking over firewood like it was part of some game. We didn't play house. We didn't rush. She knew I was still healing, and I respected that she had her own past. We existed in the same space without performing for each other. And that was rare. One Sunday morning, she handed me a mug and asked, "Do you ever think about going back?" I didn't have to ask what she meant. No, I said. Not for a second. And I meant it. There was no part of me that missed Olivia. Maybe the idea of her, who I thought she was when I fell for her, but not the real version. That person was gone long before she told me to get out. I heard from a friend in the city that she'd moved into a small apartment above a hair salon. Boutique shut down. Car sold. Word was she tried launching an online business, but no one bought her luxury vision board kits. Yes, selling delusion isn't a great business model when people can smell the desperation behind it. And me? I started consulting again. Smaller projects. Stuff I believed in. I helped a friend open a tech startup and ended up on their advisory board. Nothing crazy, just meaningful. Real. Sometimes I got curious and checked her socials, Olivia's. Just to see. Everything was quotes now. Vague captions about pain and rebirth. Trust the process. Some storms are meant to shake us awake. And once, the man who said he loved me left when I was broken. I almost laughed. No, sweetheart. I left when you tried to break me. Big difference. One night, I came across an old email thread, one I hadn't seen since before everything fell apart. She'd sent me a photo of us on our honeymoon. We were on the beach, barefoot, drinks in hand. She'd written, "We're going to be unstoppable." I stared at it for a long time, not because I missed it, but because I finally understood it. That message wasn't about us. It was about her. Unstoppable meant, as long as you do everything for me, and I don't have to lift a finger. It meant, ride or die, as long as I'm in the passenger seat and you're bleeding behind the wheel. But me? I didn't stop. I just changed lanes. The next day, I deleted the entire email archive. 6 years of digital dust gone. Because that chapter? It's not just closed. It's buried. A few weeks later, I was at the market in town, grabbing some coffee beans and bread, when I ran into Deborah. She looked older, tired. Her coat wasn't her usual designer brand, just plain black, worn around the sleeves. She spotted me, hesitated, then gave a small nod. I nodded back, polite. She stepped closer. She's not doing great. I waited. She talks about you. Sometimes. I didn't respond. I think she still hopes you'll forgive her one day. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, I already have. That threw her. She blinked. You have? Yeah, I said. Forgiveness isn't about her. It's for me. I needed peace, not revenge. She opened her mouth, but I shook my head gently. She made her choices, Deborah. And so did I. I walked out before she could say more. Outside, the sky was clear. Snow on the rooftops sparkled under the sun. I got in my truck, turned on the heat, and drove home, back to the cabin, back to Emily, back to a life that didn't need fixing or performing. And somewhere along that drive, it hit me. Closure doesn't always come with apologies or explanations. Sometimes, it's just a quiet morning, a hot cup of coffee, and the realization that you're no longer carrying a weight that was never yours to begin with. Spring came early. The snow melted off the pines in slow tears, dripping down the branches like a quiet goodbye. The river near the cabin thawed and started humming again, low, steady, like a promise. I watched the seasons change with the patience of a man who no longer feared what came next. One morning, I woke up before the sun. The bed beside me was warm, not just from Emily, but from what we built. No lies, no manipulation, just two people who respected each other enough to be honest. She stirred when I got up, mumbled something sleepy, and smiled before drifting off again. I walked outside barefoot, letting the cold deck boards bite my feet. Inhale. Exhale. That deep breath kind of peace, the kind no amount of money or fake perfection could ever buy. My phone buzzed once. A message from a number I hadn't saved, but one I knew by heart. I hope one day you'll remember the good. I still dream about us. I stared at it for maybe 30 seconds. No emotion. Just stillness. Then I deleted it. Didn't need to respond. Didn't need the last word. Because I already had it, in every quiet morning, every real conversation, every step forward that didn't involve dragging the corpse of a toxic love behind me. People think betrayal is the worst thing you can experience. It's not. The worst is losing yourself in the process of trying to keep someone else whole. I lost years with Olivia. Years I can't get back. But I found something better. I found the strength to walk away, the discipline to stay away, and the wisdom to never repeat that mistake again. If you're reading this, maybe you're the guy standing in the ruins, thinking it's your fault she lied, cheated, twisted everything to make you the villain. Let me tell you something no one ever says out loud. You're not broken. She is. And the second you stop trying to fix her, you start fixing you. Let her drown in her own decisions. You build a new life on the shore. And when she screams from the waves, begging for another chance, you turn your back and let the sea take her.